Here's the secret trick to trying a new habit or trying a new goal and actually having it work. I really think we underestimate the value of practicing our willpower and practicing our motivation. Hi, I'm Amy on A Lolly Life, and today we are going to talk about habits and goals. Because goals are what get you to the habits that you want to have. Here's the thing about habits. They have like growing pains. When you first set up new habits or new goals to get to new habits, the first couple of months that you're doing it, you're most likely to fail because it's not a habit yet. So yeah, habits that aren't habits are harder to remember sometimes, or you just don't do it the way that you were hoping, or you cheat a little bit. Because of this thing of like, I might fail, or I've failed before, or I failed a dozen times before, or I'm not sure if I'm really ready to commit myself to that. Sometimes we don't actually commit ourselves to anything, and we just kind of like move along wherever the wind blows. The other thing that we do is that we say, I'm gonna try such and such. Except for there's a problem. The trying mentality makes it seem like it's an optional goal. It creates room for failure, as if you assume that you're going to mess up. But when you're trying a new goal, the try is in the amount of time, not the fact that you might or might not succeed. That's what needs to be the important part. Because once you decide, this is my goal, you need to push forward. You need to do it. You need to quit lying to yourself. Liar, liar, pants on fire. There's a trick to trying new habits and to creating new goals that helps you be more successful. If you want to be able to create new habits and have them actually stick, you have to increase your willpower. And the way that you increase your willpower is by practicing. Creating habits takes practice. If you want to be really good at something, you have to put in the time and the effort practicing. If you want to become really, really good at basketball, oftentimes the practice isn't just like going and playing games. It's doing something repetitively over and over and over and over again until you get this small little detail, and that becomes second nature to you. If you want to become really, really good at basketball, you might spend hours and hours and hours dribbling and just practicing dribbling the ball. That's it. You're not even shooting baskets. Or you might spend hours and hours and hours shooting baskets, the same basket, over and over and over and over again. And we recognize that when you're trying to learn how to play a sport or the piano, it makes sense that you would break it apart into these little tiny things that you would try and you would do over and over and over again so that you would get better at this little tiny part. But we don't use that same mentality when it comes to creating new habits. We act like it's just gonna happen and we either can or we can't do it. But that's not the way that it works. It works exactly the same way as learning to be a good basketball player, or learning to play the piano, or whatever it is that you're learning to do. How do you incorporate practice into creating new habits and goals? This is how you do it. Here's the secret trick to trying a new habit or trying a new goal and actually having it work. Let's say, for example, that you want to eat less sweets. You want to eat better and you want to eat a little bit healthier. But every time that you try to do that, you fail after a week or two. You look back at it and you're like, well, the longest I've ever been able to manage that was like 10 days. How am I supposed to like conquer that? I can't do that. I've tried it before. I've tried it a dozen times. I keep trying and I keep failing. Well, here's how you practice a new habit. If you want to quit eating sweets, then you might say to yourself, instead of, I'm going to quit eating sweets, you would give yourself a very reasonable, small goal. And it would be something like, I'm not gonna eat sweets today. Yeah, like just today, or maybe even half a day. I'm not gonna eat sweets after dinner. But it has to be something very small and manageable. And a day is really a fair amount. You can just say, I'm not gonna eat sweets today. And then you don't. And then you just don't eat sweets that day. Because anybody can do something for a day. If you choose something and then you do that, you increase your willpower. And there's no room for error. You have to be particularly hard on yourself. There is no, I'll just cheat a little bit. No, 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 no. That's not what we're doing. It's one day. You can do it one day. Everybody can do it for one day. Interestingly enough, trying a new habit or trying a new goal, you can learn something from having a goal in a completely different area than what you're actually working on. When you practice delayed gratification by practicing your willpower, it doesn't matter what area you practice your willpower in. Every time that you do that, you increase your willpower. If you want to learn to play the piano, not only do you start with very small things and simple songs, but oftentimes you play scales or other things like that over and over and over again, practicing something that seems not even related to the really great, wonderful musical piece that you want to be able to play. And so if you decide the night before, you're like, tomorrow morning, I'm not going to hit the snooze button. I am going to pop up out of bed, get my shower, get ready, and I'm not gonna like dilly-dally around. Dilly-dally, I like that word. Dilly-dally. And you actually do get up without using the snooze button, because it's just for one day after all. Anybody can do it for one day, right? Well, that is increasing your willpower. It's increasing your ability to be able to follow through with the things that you decide that you're going to do. And it is the same with anything like that. So instead of saying, I'm not going to eat sweets anymore, and you realize that that is like completely unreasonable if you were to think of it logically, you need to start with smaller steps. And those smaller steps oftentimes can be one day at a time. And so you say, I'm not going to eat sweets today. And then the next day, instead of saying you're not going to eat sweets because it's so-and-so's birthday and you know that you're going to eat some sweets, instead of saying that, choose something else. Something else entirely. It may not have anything to do with what you want to be actually doing, but instead of saying, I'm not going to eat sweets tomorrow, knowing that you are going to eat sweets tomorrow and you're going to cheat a little bit, choose something else that you're going to do. And say, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning without using my snooze button and hop right up out of bed. And you do that instead. But every time that you do something like that, that you set these like little micro goals of, I'm going to do this for a day, or I'm going to show some self-restraint for one day in this particular area, it increases your ability to show self-restraint for longer periods of time. So after you've been doing something like this, where you choose something small every day or most days, that I'm not going to do this, I'm going to restrain myself in this particular area, you increase your ability to restrain yourself. And so then you can start saying, well, instead of just saying, I'm not going to eat sweets today, you can say, well, I'm not going to eat sweets this whole week, and do that for a week. When you're trying new goals, the trying comes in the amount of time that you're going to do it, not whether or not you're going to do it or not. Every time that you try a new goal for a short period of time, those one-day goals, those small little goals, and you succeed, you are building your muscles. I'm building my muscles. Muscles! You're building your mental muscles. You're building your motivation muscles and your willpower muscles. Those are the things that will help you succeed in the long run. If you want to make a goal and you realize that making that goal, that your chances of success are pretty tiny, don't do it. Practice. And you practice willpower with very small goals that you do not break. No lying. No breaking the goals. And so if you say, I am not going to eat sweets today, and somebody brings cupcakes into the office and they're your very favorite kind and you really want one, tough. Not today. You already said, I'm not eating sweets today. And you can do it. Practice your willpower even in other areas until you've increased your willpower, the strength of your willpower and the strength of your motivation, so that it makes it a little bit easier, and sometimes a lot bit easier, to actually do what you really wanted to do. And so, yeah, it takes a lot longer. But when you think about somebody who has a really great talent, they didn't get that overnight. They didn't even get it over a month. They got it over doing small things over a long period of time. And it is the same thing that you can do to practice your willpower and your motivation and your ability to push through hard situations and to do the most important things first. Practice your willpower. Practice your motivation and do it in little tiny bits, one day at a time. Practicing one small thing without lying to yourself. And I'll see you next time on A Lolly Life.